All right, what's up, Lions fan? It is day 3 of training camp in the books. And man, isn't it nice to have real football to talk about again? I understand the games aren't being played, but we are getting some highlights. We're seeing J-Mo making long catches. We're seeing kickers. We're seeing all types of stuff. So in this video, I want to bring to you some of the news from day 2, from day 3 of training camp, including one player who is a surprise guy that could actually make the roster, and I am shocked about it. And then an injury at not a key position, but what was penciled in as a starter for this team that will miss the year, and then a player who is looking really good in camp, just a year too late, some would say, but I would say at the perfect time. So first, let's talk about who this player is that is shocking everyone. All right, Colton Pouncey of The Athletic said one player who had my eye dating back to the spring is Daurice Fountain. He spent time on the practice squad a year ago, but seems to be picking up steam and gaining the attention of the offensive staff. On Wednesday, he hauled in a pass from Hendon Hooker, going full extension to high point the ball near the sideline. On Thursday, all right, so that's Wednesday. On Thursday, playing with the first team offense for a few reps, he beat Arnold downfield for a long touchdown delivered by Goff. Keep an eye on him. So let's keep an eye on him. Who is this guy? Because I have to admit, never heard of him. All right, he is out of northern Iowa. He was a 6'2", 210-pound wide receiver. 6'2", 210-pound wide receiver. And he is drafted in 2018. So he was drafted in 2018 by the Colts in the 5th round. When you look at how much he has played, the only time he recorded anything was 2020. For the Indianapolis Colts, he had 2 targets for 2 receptions and 23 yards. He was on the field for like 35 plays. That's it. In his entire career, he's 28 years old. He's not even a journeyman. He's a never was at this point. But that doesn't mean he's not doing good things. He has the size. He has the speed. I went and looked it up, and I'm having trouble with my computer, so we're having a lot of fun and all that kind of stuff. But he had an athletic or a relative athletic score. If you know me, you know that I love this thing. I love PFF. All right, I know they're not perfect, but they're a good benchmark. They're not gospel, but they're a good benchmark. And I also really, really enjoy what can happen when you see a relative athletic score. When you look at him, he had a good size grade at 6'2", 205. All right, when he came out of college. He had an okay speed grade, running a 4.5 40. Not bad. Not bad. His explosion grade, however, was elite. He had a vertical jump of 42.5. 44, 45 is the highest I've ever seen in this. So he had a 9.95, which means there was only like 4 guys that have ever tested better than him. His broad jump was 11 feet, 9.92. Only 8 guys had ever tested better than him. So he is a guy that absolutely has the athleticism to become a good player in this league. He just hasn't shown it yet. All right, in other news, all right, we heard some bad news that Michael Badgley, our kicker, all right, and this is a guy who has been a consistent kicker for us. We know he didn't have a big leg, and I don't know if that's why Dan Campbell never went for it when we had long field goal opportunities, or if that's just what Dan Campbell is. In fact, we talked about the kicking competition between him and the UFL phenom. All right, so he suffered a significant injury, and he is placed on IR. Apparently, he did it while getting ready for practice. He tore it. He tore that hamstring, and he is done. So the wish you were all hoping for, what you all wanted, which was this UFL kicker from the Michigan Panthers to be the future kicker of the Detroit Lions, you have your wish. I did hear they're bringing in another UFL kicker for the tryout as well. Remember, we had Turner in here from U of M, but we cut him even though he had a really good spring. He was going toe-to-toe. But he had a really good spring, but we cut him. He was picked up by the Packers. Just talked to Jason over on Sports Talk Wisconsin, and he said he's been absolutely terrible in training camp so far. Each of the first 3 days, he's gone like 4 for 6, missing short kicks, missing long kicks, and every kick in between. All right, so what about a player who is starting to progress? There is a player on the offensive side of the ball that during spring ball was driving coaches mad and really frustrating people because he was holding on to the ball. He wasn't making his reads quick enough. He wasn't throwing to players that are open by NFL standards, but covered by college standards. So he was afraid to let the ball rip. That is Hendon Hooker. Now in training camp, he's looking better. All right. Different writer, Eric Schlitt, all right, with Pride of Detroit, said he spent more time and deliberately looked at Hendon Hooker today at practice. He said during the first 11-on-11 drills, Hooker made arguably his most mature play of the camp. After feeling inside pressure from John Kaminsky on a pass rush, he did a spin move to avoid the pressure. He escaped the pocket and then immediately squared himself to the line of scrimmage, got his head up, located a target, and delivered the perfect strike to rookie Jalen Calhoun. All right, he connected with a variety of players, had multiple touchdowns during red zone drills, and hit everyone. All right, he saw an easy layup, made a touchdown pass to Zylstra when Peoples-Jones got the inside edge on his defender and cut across the back of the end zone, a la Josh Reynolds special. Hooker fired a bullet that worked its way through defenders for a score. All right, another time, Vaki shook his coverage. Hooker again made a nice read and timed a perfect throw for a touchdown. This is huge because this shows progression in his reads. The biggest issue that we had with Hooker was 2 things. All right, really 3 things coming out of college. 1, he was old. 2, he was coming off an ACL tear. And 3, he was in a gimmicky, that's what people call it, offense over at Tennessee. All right, and it is kind of a unique offense. All right, but I'm not going to get into the offense at Tennessee. All right, let's talk about what he's doing for the Lions. So the question is, can he get through his reads? Can he get through his progressions? Can he go from the right side of the field to the left? Can he go from the left to the right? Or can he only work one half of the field? He made the argument coming out that everybody thinks you read one half of the field at Tennessee. That just isn't true. You do have to read both sides of the field. So he will have a lot to prove. He is the guy I want to watch. So why am I talking about Hendon Hooker when we just signed Jared Goff to a massive contract extension? Jared Goff's going to be a Detroit Lion for the next 5 years. So why are we talking about Hendon Hooker? If Hendon Hooker has a good preseason this year, if he gets in and plays a couple of games and has a good couple of games or has a good preseason next year, you can trade an unproven quarterback on a rookie deal for a very high draft pick. All right, if you think that he is good, people will pay premium for Hooker. So if he ends up being a good quarterback but not good enough to overtake Goff in the rotation and the depth chart, which I don't think he will ever get to that, another team may give us a first, second round pick for him. And then we can use that to keep it going. He could be helpful in that. Second, this is a Super Bowl caliber team. We know that. This is a team that is going to win the Super Bowl this year. That's what they're going for. I'm not saying they're going to do it. I'm not making a proclamation, and I'm not jinxing anyone, so don't worry about that. But you need to have a backup that can come in and win you some games. You have to be able to do that. So it is awesome for me to hear it. Awesome for me to hear good things about Jameson Williams. Awesome to hear good things about Hendon Hooker. Awesome to hear good things about Sione Vaki. All this is good news. All of it is good news coming out of training camp so far, outside of the injury to Badgley. But I think a lot of us are just like, ooh, now we get the kicker we want. We'll see if we're still hoping for that come midseason. All right, thank you, everybody, for watching. We want to be your go-to place for Lions football all year long, 365 days a week. If you like what we're doing on the channel, please hit that like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.